Can you hear us, Oza sir?
It's very faint.
Okay.
Sir, we can hear you very well, sir.
Now I can hear you also.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you.
Your voice is clear, sir.
Yes. As such, I'm loud. Always. Yes, that reminds me of Rathna telling me many a times when I used to argue with him. He said that your voice can convince anybody that what you are saying is right. I said, no, that is not true. What I am saying, I think is right. And that makes difference to me. But that is how it was. Yes, tell me when we start and we can talk about Rathna, which I have been waiting for a long time. First of all, let me tell Kavita and Ratna's son and daughter-in-law my heartfelt condolences.
Sir,
The granddaughter has also joined.
Yes, I know. I
So we
know.
will-
It's a little difficult for me to come out. Just give me half a minute.
yes, sir. We will begin the meeting in a few minutes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Hello. I
So
see.
we will begin the meeting. Good morning, everyone.
Good
On
morning.
behalf of the Executive Committee of Isha, I welcome and thank each one of you who have joined this morning to render our prayers and tribute to our beloved Dr. N. Rathna, a founding member of Isha as per the Memorandum of Association of Isha. A legendary teacher, mentor for generations, and a great human being who has touched several of us in our fraternity of audiology and speech language pathology. Today, we have gathered here to celebrate him, remember him, and his contributions to our field. We have with us his family, Sir's wife, son, daughter, son-in-law, daughter-in-law, and grandchildren join us in our tribute to the legend Dr. N. Rathna. We shall begin by observing a minute of silence in memory of him.
Dr. Prakash, please unmute yourself.
Am I not audible now?
Yeah.
Was I not audible earlier also?
Right now, no. After the silence, no.
Yeah, thank you. So as we proceed with the prayer meeting, I would first read out the message we had sent to Dr. Ratna's family, followed by many of our senior members in our fraternity who have spent over 5 decades with him to share their perspective of their journeys with Dr. Rathna. The message we sent on 20th of June addressing Mr. Rajat Rathna, son of Dr. N. Rathna. Dear Sir, on behalf of the Indian Speech Language Hearing Association, I would like to express our heartfelt condolences to you and the family on the sad demise of your father. Dr. N. Rathna was one of the founding life member of Isha with registration number 1 and served on its executive committee in various capacity, including president of Isha. His contribution to the education and overall development of speech and hearing field was commendable and is a history. Clinician, teacher, administrator, several roles he has played with ELAN. He was and will be widely regarded as a teacher of teachers in audiology and speech language pathology, as his students are eminent personalities in the field of speech and hearing, not only in India, but abroad as well. Isha has celebrated him by instituting an oration on his name and has given it every year to an eminent speech language pathologist in India during the Isha National Conventions. Several of us have fondly looked upon his participation during the national conferences and his expert advice during the general body meetings. His simplicity, firm belief in democratic values, and love for theater were legendary. Most of the speech and hearing professionals knew him personally. He was loved for his soft-spoken baritone voice, helpful, kind nature by many of us. Though he is not amongst us today, his legacy will continue to inspire the entire speech and hearing fraternity in India and across the globe. Once again, I pray to Almighty to give strength to your family to bear this irreparable loss. Dr. Rathna will be missed by us as a professional, well-wisher, and friend. Sincerely, and was signed by Dr. Namita Joshi, Secretary of Isha. I'm sure many of us will be emotional and would like to share our prayers and tribute to Dr. N. Rathna. You may please text in the chat box as we proceed with the meeting today. You might also feel free. You might also feel free to send your messages as an email to General Secretary of
Mute થઈ ગયો.
Prakash sir, you got
Dr.
mute.
Prakash, you are again muted actually.
Dr.
Can you hear
Prakash?
me now?
Yeah,
Can you hear me now?
yeah.
Yeah. So I was just saying, as we proceed, as people want to text, it's a very emotional situation, and I think many of us will have feelings we want to express to the family and Dr. Rathna. You might text in the chat box. We will compile all of them. And also feel free to share it as an email to Secretary, and that will also be compiled and shared with Dr. Rathna's family. I have several of our senior members who have spent over 5 decades with him to talk about their experience about Dr. Rathna and then to share the legend he was with all of us today. May I now invite Professor Oza, who has been his companion for several years, to share his memory of Dr. Rathna. Oza, sir.
Can
Sir,
you
we
hear
can't
me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
First of all, my heartfelt prayers to Almighty to give eternal peace to the soul of Dr. Rathna. It's hard to believe because in last 2 years, our contact on phone had increased a lot more than what it ever was. Last I met him was at the conference, and I could not go to Delhi, unfortunately, due to my bad health. But before that, 2 conferences before that, I had met him. And it was such a wonderful moment to be with him. We both were born in the year 1934. But I had the privilege of being elder by 4 months than Dr. Rathna. I was born in August, he was born in December. We used to have very often a little joke about our age, and he used to tell me, big brother, whenever we are discussing anything. His sense of humor was great. His care and concern for all these, our programs in teaching, as well as the outstanding work being done by our past students in the field, and as you rightly mentioned, not only in India, but outside also. Now, there are several incidents that I can narrate, but one thing that I must say was, I had yet to see Rathna getting angry. That is one thing I have missed in this man, which speaks a lot about how composed he was. We used to have heated arguments in the beginning, as I recollect, when I used to go to Mysore for giving lectures. At that time, late Dr. Dharmaraj was the director, and Rathna was there, and I used to give lectures in speech pad. And I used to have real good arguments about the approach, basic approach to speech pathology with good background in the anatomy, physiology, pathology, medical subjects. And he used to say, Oza, how are we concerned with that? I said, no, we are concerned because if our students know well the basic sciences, the diagnostic and therapeutic competence will increase. And one thing I must say, he ultimately agreed that yes, I do realize that this is very important. I mean, wherever he realized that he could change his opinion, he would not hesitate to say so. And that's a great quality, you see. We used to have great time in the conferences, particularly in the evenings, with black label or red label or any label that would really bring up our spirits. And sorry, I remember one incident in Mysore conference way back, some 20 years back or more, I guess. My memory is failing at 90. But we were having our glass and we were chit-chatting across the fire that was there, in the evenings when we have good times together. And in our conversation, he missed his step and he was about to fall in the fire that was there. And I don't know how and what I managed, but I rushed straight and held him there. Afterwards, he embraced me so hard. I said, Rathna, I want to breathe, you see. And he laughed. He said, Oza, you saved me. I said, okay, let us drink to that. So we were back to our classes. Now that was the spirit with which he lived. His association was the students was not like the director and the students. As a matter of fact, he was very friendly. And this has brought them, all the past students of his, so close to him. his nature. He's being so kind. He's being so broad minded and accepting wherever he was not right. I wouldn't say he was wrong. He was not right, and that makes a lot of difference. That was Dr. Ratna. Today, I find it difficult to even recollect what past incidents because I still have to accept the fact that he is no more. He never missed any of my birthdays, any of the festivities. He would just call up first thing in the morning. And that was so great. I must thank his son and daughter Kavita, who have served him well in his period of illness. I wish I had met him. Ratna, you were great. I miss you very much. Mrs. Ratna, my heartfelt condolences to you. I know what it is like to be without the partner. But you have great two children and grandchildren who will give you company and try to give you as much love and affection as you were getting before. But we cannot replace the person we have lost. God give him peace and take him in himself and give him eternal peace. My pranams to him, and we hope we follow his legacy and learn to accept the fact that sometimes we may not be right, and that if we are not right, we must correct ourselves. Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk. I am very emotional. I can't talk much today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much for joining and sharing your experiences about sir to us, and we quite understand the emotions which you're going through. Please take care, sir. Now I request Professor Natraj, who has been his student and teachers for many of us and has spent several years with Dr. Ratna, to share his experience. And let's hear from Dr. Natraj. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Prakash. Yeah, it is unfortunate that we have to meet today for this program to accept, and we have to accept the loss of the legend of our profession. Of course, it's quite natural for us to face all these adversities, whether we like it or not. Well, my association with Dr. Ratna has been for 57 years, starting from 1967 when I entered Aish as a student till the last days of Dr. Ratna. So I had different kinds of association with him. He was my teacher to start with. And then, of course, he was director for many of the dramas and made us to act. And then, even in Isha, he was president and I was secretary. And beyond all that, he was my well-wisher and, of course, mentor and family friend. I was not only associated with Dr. Ratna, I was associated with his family also. Now also I am with their family. Well, as a teacher, he started his profession as a reader, and way back in 1965, they started a clinic in Mysore, which was known as All India Institute of Logopedics. And then it was in one Rama Mandira, and a place given by Maharaja of Mysore at that time. And then in 1966, he started a postgraduate program, even though Professor Oza and others had started a diploma in Mumbai, Nair Hospital. Because Dr. Rathna used to believe that speech and hearing is an interdisciplinary science, and we can get contributions from different fields. That is the concept he was always believed, just like in American society. But unfortunately, it did not work in our country. So the first batch of students were postgraduate students, and then they started the bachelor's program in 1967. When I joined as a student of BSc, he was the only speech and hearing person in the institute. Of course, we used to get Professor Oza and Professor Shah as visiting professors, along with people from other professions. Very strangely for me, I had seen him when I entered that All India Institute of Speech and Hearing at Centenary Hall to give my application for BSc. A dark person was sitting in a cubicle, writing something with beedi in his mouth. In fact, I thought maybe he is some clerk doing some work. Only later I came to know that he was Dr. Rathna. That is, he used to be very simple and very humble also. And he never used to care for any of the things like the status, position, and all that. And of course, that sometimes had led to controversies also later. Well, then I was lucky enough to study BSc and MSc at this institute as a student of Dr. Rathna. And personally, I have been benefited, had a very good opportunity to interact with him closely because I did my dissertation with him and then did my PhD under his guidance at that time. And of course, later on, I was a clinical supervisor at All India Institute of Speech and Hearing. At that time, he was director in charge. And of course, I used to get directions from him and learned a lot of administrative things from him, including, of course, he used to correct our English as we used to speak or write. That was one advantage that I had. And later, as I joined, he was HOD of speech pathology for some time. Only later he became the director. And later, of course, he introduced us to dramas. Rather, he made some of us mad of drama. So I personally feel I learned a lot about speech through dramas or drama rehearsals because he used to explain how to deliver the dialogues, and along with that he used to tell us what is intonation or stress or what is meaning, and all that. And later, of course, I also had the opportunity to co-author some of the articles with him, and we used to carry out some studies also, and we had published some papers also. And later, I mean, he was a great human being who used to be very humble and feeling sad for somebody. He was feeling happy when he was helping somebody else. That is his nature. So he used to help several of us. Even he used to uh, provide financial help to many students. And still I remember I was warden of the ladies and gents hostel at Aish, and one girl student had come from JC, that is engineering college, asking for seat in the ladies hostel. At that time, we were full and we were not able to provide anything. So she had been to Dr. Rathna, who was director. Then he called me and I told him that there were no vacancies in the hostel. Then he told that girl, you can come and stay in my home. This is the kind of thing that he used to feel about people. He was always ready to help people. And there are several examples of this. I still remember one of the instances. One of the sweeper of the institute was ill and he was admitted in one of the hospitals in Bangalore. So Dr. Rathna and myself had been to Bangalore for some official work. And after that, he said, Vandrapa, Port Barana. Then we went in the car with some fruits and some money also he had brought and went to that hospital to give that money and fruits to that sweeper. And of course, I think many of you must have seen how we used to treat the sweepers or the drivers or the professors or students. And of course, unfortunately, many a times this used to be misused rather. But he never used to mind that. Dr. Rathna never used to mind the misuse also. He used to say, okay, that is his nature, that is the way he is. Still I remember one of the instances when I was warden again, one of the boy student had taken a junior to his hostel room and he was in that room with that girl. So myself and Mr. Pijak Kumar went to the hostel and took them out and brought to Dr. Rathna, who was director, and told him, look, these fellows, they're not attending the clinical work or the classes and they're in the hostel. He just said, don't do such things, just attend the classes properly. And then we were so furious because we were young and we were orthodox and, but he said, after all, it is the age, and just left them like that. Now, this is the kind of attitude or the way in which he used to treat people. And maybe because of that, he ran into problem. Still, I remember the hard days we had at Aish. He was director in charge, and there was an interview for the director's post way back in 1975. And Dr. P.R. Kulkarni, an ENT, was selected, and Dr. Rathna was selected as joint director because still he was young. That is what the minister had told. Once Dr. Kulkarni came to Aish, he started planning for a big hospital in the ENT hospital in the institute. And some of us started feeling bad and started fighting against that. And even Dr. Rathna was talking about that, but he never used to, take any offensive stand and fight. And in fact, this started becoming big, and even they started. I mean, we had two groups, separate groups. One for Dr. Kulkarni, supporting Dr. Kulkarni and his concepts, and we, on the other hand, to save a speech and hearing institute as speech and hearing institute. We said we don't want any smell of Dettol in this institute. So they started involving the students also. Even they started failing the students. And we had to approach the university, and the university has to conduct a re-examination by inviting examiners from outside. And that group, particularly Dr. Kulkarni, started treating some of us very badly. And even he's questioned the qualifications of Dr. Rathna. And then he saw to that the joint director post was abolished and Dr. Rathna was made only professor. So he was made only professor. Still, he was not disturbed or perturbed by the incidences. We, some of the staff members and some students, particularly I should remember Mr. Vijay Kumar and his group, his classmates, started fighting against this and started coaxing Dr. Rathna rather to fight back, to save the profession or save Aish as Aish. And at that time, even Dr. Kulkarni used to say, I know how to eliminate who come in my way. And even he has said, used to say, he would throw us out of the institute. He was making all attempts to do that. Then Dr. Rathna decided to fight against this and started approaching the politicians and friends and the social workers. And Dr. Kulkarni, for other reasons, also was removed from the director's post. Then Dr. Rathna was appointed as director. That is way back in 1980. Of course, he was not really very comfortable with the Delhi, in the sense they never used to understand the needs of the institute or what we wanted. Dr. Rathna used to be a little frustrated about that, and he used to tell us about that. And at the same time, some of the people, some staff, specific staff members, used to, abuse Dr. Rathna and do things against him and all that. And later in 1984, he went to Bombay as director of AYGNH on deputation, which was just about to be developed. So he took the responsibility of developing the institute at Bombay also and introduced bachelor's and master's degrees and also education programs, that is B.Ed, M.Ed at Bombay Institute. So, and later he came back to the institute and stayed only for 2 years and then took voluntary retirement. Even though he was only 50 years old, he took voluntary retirement and got out of the institute. Well, as a teacher, he used to, he was not teaching us, but he was immersing us in speech and hearing. So he used to make us think about speech and hearing or the topics that we were handling. He never used to use any book and say, this book says this and so this. No, he never did. He always used to discuss things and make us to think and make us to ask questions. And particularly for me, we used to spend after working hours because Dr. Rathna's friends, one Mr. Mirle, Vishwanath Mirle, and one Professor Verma. Mr. Vishwanath Mirle was a phonetician and an English professor. Verma was another professor. And of course, even others like Yoran Murthy and many others used to join us. And we used to have discussions about the linguistic aspects and speech and so many other things, which I still remember. I learned a lot of things from those discussions. And of course, uh, he always used to make us to think about the things. Even the establishment of Department of Speech Sciences by me in 1984 was the result of such pushing by Dr. Rathna. I cannot forget to mention that he was behind that. We were planning several departments like speech sciences, language sciences, because we wanted to expand the institute. That is the idea he had then. Of course, unfortunately, things were not uh, going well because of certain individuals, and then he started feeling frustrated and left the institute. Apart from that, he, as I mentioned earlier, he made us to be mad of drama. And at that time, of course, we used to, as a troupe, we were well known in Karnataka at that time. We used to win state level awards. And of course, the audience used to be surprised. They used, saying that, oh, these people are speaking so well, because they thought that we were having speech and hearing problems, but still could speak so well. But the drama troupe was well known. And through that, he was telling us, or he was teaching us, not only speech and hearing, many of the things in life, giving real examples to us. And another fond thing that Dr. Ratna used to do was, his clinical activity, camps. He was believing very strongly that the professionals must go to the uh, needy people. First camp was held in 1970 uh, in Karnataka. And then later, series of camps were held. And the camps used to be for weeks together. And Dr. Ratna used to attend most of them. Of course, whenever he used to be busy and other things, others like me and others were following it. But he was too lenient and he was too simple and too generous. That used to cause problem sometimes. I will give you one example which we had faced. He used to accept whatever the inviting club or inviting group used to offer when we visit that place. Uh, once Dr. Ratna could not go, but I led the team to one place called Mulki, very near to Mangalore. There, they said, as we reached, we asked for the place to keep our things, and they showed some place in a temple, and then said, "Oh, your food will also be served in the temple, prasadam, and you can stay here." And I got really furious. Let me be frank, and then I said, "Sorry, we can't stay here. I would go back." And then he started saying, "No, no, no, Dr. Ratna. Whenever Dr. Ratna used to come, he would stay here." And I said, "You do it when Dr. Ratna comes, not we have come. We are not asking for any luxury hotel. At least some comfort should be given." This is the simplicity that uh, he used to have. But people used to misuse this. Of course, he was strong admirer of and follower of Mahatma Gandhi. That he used to tell several times. Even we used to conduct Gandhi Jayanti and all that, and we used to spend time on those things also. Like that, he used to be very simple, and of course, his simplicity um had put him also in trouble sometimes, because once he was warned by the minister that, he was wearing a jubba and pajama, and of course, for a drama, he had a long hair and all that. And the minister had told him, "No, no, no, as director, you can't do all these things. You must maintain some decorum and all." Even the vice chancellor of University of Mysore had said this sometime. You know, this is the kind of thing that he used to do, but he never used to bother about these things. He would do what he used to feel right, whether somebody accepts it or not. That is the kind of thing that he had. Uh, well, of course, I had written a lot of things, and because of my association, I had a lot of experiences with him. But anyway, we have lost a great legend in the field of speech and hearing. And the tribute that we can give is to follow his deeds, whatever that he was doing, or whatever that he has taught us. Of course, he is not with us, but he is within us. Many of us have imbibed many of his, uh, ideals, and still some of us have been following one way or the other. No one can be equal to him. It is impossible. Only, in Kannada we have this. His name was Na Rathna, and Na stands for Natesh. But I feel it is Na Ratna. Na means Nanu. So I am Ratna. He is always Ratna. He used to be so cool and calm, which we could never learn. Many a times he used to tell us, there is no need to be panicked like that or to be anger like that. But still, we're not able to. We are all just ordinary people who cannot reach his level. But anyhow, personally, I have lost a lot of things. Whenever I used to have difficulty, I used to go to him and talk to him. And of course, our relationship was totally different. So I can never get it. Anyway, thank you. So through this, I would like to submit this. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. And I know 57 years of togetherness as teacher, friend, philosopher, guide, and you've shared several aspects of your journey with Dr. Ratna. What stood out is his kindness and generosity as a person he was. Thank you very much for sharing that nice journey with us. Thank you, sir. Now I
Thank you.
request Professor M. Jairam, former director of AISH and also a student of Dr. Ratna, senior member in our fraternity, to share his experiences with Dr. Ratna. Jairam sir.
Thank you, Dr. Prakash. A big salute to Dr. Natesh Rathna Sabhapati Modaliyar, or Naratna, or simply Maestro for all of us. At what point do we start talking about Dr. Ratna? It's very difficult to fathom out the beginning and the end of his attributes, work, contribution, and his story. It's like a rainbow, yet his story has to be told because it's the story of a person who himself did not have a great academic career in India, but excelled in studies in the United States of America, which culminated in him being awarded 3 master's program degrees and a doctorate in the field of education. He received excellent training in the United States of America, but mostly in the field of deaf and blind education and not much in the area of speech and hearing. No doubt, he received some training from Dr. Malaisen, whom Dr. Ratna considers as his mentor, Dr. Schubert, and many others. But at the end of the day, he did not have much training in speech pathology or audiology. Yet, he is the person who went on to shape the profession of speech and hearing in India and the careers of so many speech and hearing professionals in India. That is great indeed. Dr. Ratna was responsible for establishing many institutes, starting from Institute of Logopedics, which later became All India Institute of Speech and Hearing at Mysore. He had a significant role in establishing the AYJ NIHH, National Institute for the Hearing Handicapped, at Mumbai, and several other programs. Great achievements, but they pale into insignificance when we consider his other achievements and contribution about which people have not talked much. One such issue is his genius started speech and hearing training program at the level of masters to begin with. And this one step elevated our profession to a great height. No doubt he was supported intensely by Dr. Dharmaraj, the then director of Aish, and Dr. Srimali, the then vice chancellor of University of Mysore. But Dr. Ratna established this master's level training program against all opposition from other specialists in the country. I believe this one single step has enabled us to enjoy the unprecedented independence that we have today compared to any other field in the area of allied healthcare sciences. What would have happened if we had not done so? It's very difficult to say, but let us celebrate what he has done. Second, and the most important thing for me, is that Dr. Ratna was not a teacher in the traditional mode. Teaching to transfer information was not his goal. He made us to think, to ponder over issues, to consider the pros and cons of any issue, to view the same issue from different perspectives, and then analyze the information that we have at our disposal to come to reasonable conclusions. In short, Dr. Ratna did not teach us, he mentored us to be logical, to be scientific. This I consider his greatest attribute, and for this reason, I hold him in high esteem. I'll be failing in my task if I do not mention 2 or 3 other attributes of his which are unique to him. In 1993, as part of the Silver Jubilee of Isha, we were publishing a book on 30 years of speech and hearing in India under his editorship. The major chapter of that book, as well as the epilogue, were to be written by Dr. Rathna. However, for some reason, even 7 days to the conference, the articles were not ready. So I went to his home at Saraswatipuram, Mysore, sat with him, spent several sessions over 2 days in which Dr. Rathna would dictate, I write it down, and then I type it, submit the typed copies to Dr. Rathna, and Dr. Rathna will go through those typed manuscripts very fast, make a correction here or there, mostly typing mistakes and mentioning of years, but no major modifications, additions, or deletions. So in this fashion, 2 manuscripts running over 20 printed pages were ready in 2 days for publication. Such was his memory, clarity of thought, and competence in language. Dr. Rathna doesn't need my certification, but I should say that his cognitive abilities, attention, memory, perception, thinking, and language were far more superior to any one of us. And we are indeed honored to have spent time with him. The other thing I should mention about Dr. Rathna is this. When I was in my final year BSc and then doing post-graduation between 1971 and 74, the circumstances at Aish was such that Dr. Rathna had to teach us a number of subjects. He would come to the class and ask us, Yenrappa, ಯಾವ subject? Which subject I have to teach today? And we tell him something. What follows that was unforgettable. 50 to 55 minutes or even more of unhindered, fluent lecture come interaction. Not much of information, but everything he said made us to ponder. This happened day after day and year after year till I completed my master's degree. One personal attribute of Dr. Rathna that I want to specifically mention is his food habits. Dr. Rathna ate whatever there was in his plate, enjoyed it, relished it truly, and never made a comment, negative comment, irrespective of the quality of food. He never wasted even a single morsel of food. My condolences to the family of Dr. Rathna, Kavita and Ajita, and your mother Latakka, whom I always used to call as Latakka. When I last met Dr. Rathna at Delhi conference in 2022, Dr. Rathna spoke very highly of Ajita and Kavita, and some context was there. He spoke very highly of them. And even in the last interview he gave on Kannada Bharati, Mysore Akashvani last month, he has spoken highly about you, although in an indirect way. I am with you in your grief and in your sorrow. Let me conclude by saying that in this profession, many of us have established institutes, many of us have established more number of training programs, have established more number of clinical programs, have trained a larger number of students, have completed major research projects, have published more number of articles in journals and books than Dr. Rathna. But let us not forget that all this has been achieved on the foundation stone he laid years back. We truly miss you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you for sharing different perspectives which we could not have heard from anybody else. Thank you. Thank you so much for joining and sharing this experience. Take care, sir. May I request Professor Rajshekhar, a senior colleague of ours and also a student of Dr. Rathna, to share his experience.
Thank you, Prakash. President and Office Bearers of Isha, the other living doyen of our specialty, Professor Ramesh Oza, my respected teachers, my seniors, colleagues, and the family of Dr. Rathna. We're all here today at a prayer meeting organized by Isha to honor and remember Dr. Natesh Rathna, a man whose influence and dedication have left an indelible mark on our lives and the field of Indian speech and hearing. My journey and association with Dr. Rathna began 52 years ago, that is 5 years after Dr. Nugehalli Natarajan's association with him, when my father and I met him as I embarked on my academic career at Aish. My father was very eager to understand the field's prospects, as nobody knew what exactly was this specialty, right, in the other parts of the country. He also wanted to know whether his son should pursue his graduation. If so, post-graduation and also the highest terminal degree of a PhD. Dr. Rathna took his time, patiently explaining and addressing all the concerns to my father, and left us with a lasting impression of his profound knowledge and down-to-earth demeanor, which I wanted to reiterate what other speakers said. Down-to-earth demeanor, the simplicity. He assured my father that I was in safe hands, and indeed that my future was bright. So it turned out to be. He was a visionary. Throughout my time at Aish as a graduate student and a postgraduate student, Dr. Rathna proved to be more than a teacher. He was our guru, he was our mentor, he was a margadarshini, an icon that we look up to, and a real maestro, the Kannada word for teacher. He not only taught us the specialty, rightly said by Dr. Jayara, right, less of pathology, but more of other things, what we needed in our life and also in our areas of interest, but imparted invaluable life lessons. His guidance on counseling skills, problem solving, plus proven learning strategies, which are now called as new pedagogy, the use of flashcards to keep your points, the way that you look at the references, the search of bibliography, and the importance of informal but meaningful therapy sessions very under free. When it rains, you just go out and then tell the child about what is to feel the raindrops. So all the things which was something which was more than what we could learn from theory. He even involved us in dramatics and public education, enriching our educational experience. His classes were a unique experience, as rightly said. We would start at 6 a.m. or maybe at 6 p.m. and go on for hours together, endless, but never boring. Thanks to his captivating oratorial skills and his baritone voice. He treated all his students as friends, never reprimanding them openly for any of the mistakes, rightly pointed out by Dr. Natarajan about how he would, tell them in a very subtle way as to what they've done is not the right thing to do, and then instill in them the, the truth about what they should be doing and what they should not be doing. His simplicity, the warmth and generosity, especially towards financially weaker students and clients, were his hallmarks. He gave everything to us. All of us have learned our riding a two-wheeler on a scooter. We've taken the scooter and gone around Mysore, right? And brought it only when it got empty. The tank was empty. Even after we graduated, Dr. Rathna kept in touch with all his students, not only us, but also our families. He used to greet us on our birthdays and anniversaries and participated in many of our milestones, weddings, birth of a child and all. The dedication to the profession was evident as he never missed an Isha Call event, attending even when his health was failing. I fondly remember the last meeting with him at the Kolkata Isha Call, where he participated despite his family's concerns and reservations about him traveling by flight. But thanks to the reassurance given by Srikant and his personal care of him throughout the journey, many of us unconsciously adopted his style of talking and presenting. We all are used to saying, maybe, may not be, oops, partly true, justified. He was a very active member of the WhatsApp group that I created and I administered, sharing interesting and professionally relevant content. I would just post the pictures of the members with birthday. He would follow it up with his wishes and also making a phone call to the person and saying, that was his way of doing it. And many times he used to beat me out in wishing members whose birthdays, probably have missed out. Then I just post the photographs after that. His last postings in the group were on the astonishing predictions for the future made by Arthur Clarke on the 180 rupees in the throat chikitsa. It is filled with a lot of information on general as well as what is the specialty oriented. Many times he beat me out on posting birthday greetings for the group members and wishing all the professional endeavors undertaken by the alumni and the organization. Just this morning, as I posted about the Bangladesh endeavor by one of our members, Sonia, and Nachiket Raut, explained, he stated, if Dr. Rathna was here, probably he would have wished you. That was, the way that, he kept in touch with all the students. He took great pride in the achievement of the students, openly appreciating them. A book on the genesis of the speech and hearing profession, jointly edited by Dr. Kalyani Manke and me, is for launch on July 3rd by the Manipal Universal Press. It includes excerpts of his memories in an interview titled Pillars of Speech and Hearing Sciences in India by Dr. Nandu from US, Texas. In fact, where he kept himself updated of what's happening to the book, I told him that, sir, by there, he said. And I thought that I should present to him the book personally as a tribute, but now it will remain as unfulfilled. But it will be a tribute to Maestro in absence. I have very fond memories of Dr. Rathna and feel that he is still with us in spirit. He was not just Rathna by name, but a truly a watchtower Rathna, a jewel of speech and hearing. His passing away leaves a great void that can never be filled. For us as students, field of speech and hearing is synonymous with Dr. Rathna. His memories will continue to enrich our lives and guide our services to those with speech and hearing impediments whom he cared for so deeply. Goodbye, Maestro. May the Almighty give strength to your family. And as Dr. Vanaja has put in the chat, his biological family as well as all his professional family, which consists of lots and lots of alumni spread across the globe, to bear your physical absence. Om Shanti.
Thank you, sir. for bringing a different perspective of Sir, where he had the ability to connect across generations. And he made it point to make everyone so important. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Dr. Rathna has served as the founding director of AYJ, NIHT, and as former director of AISH for several years. And we've heard from the legends who spoke earlier about his contributions in making our profession. Two national institutes, we will have to hear from the directors. May I request the director of AISH, today represented by Dr. P. Manjula, in absence of Dr. Pushpavati, to say a few words about Dr. Rathna.
Okay, Prakash. Namaste. With deep sense of sorrow, we are here to condole. All of us know very well about this legend, Dr. Rathna, his dedication, his unwavering commitment, which have left an indelible mark. As many respected seniors have mentioned, Sir strived hard to initiate and push AISH in an era where awareness about our field was almost zero. This is not an easy feat to achieve. He was the first employee of AISH and subsequently served AISH as its director in 2 tenures. He steered AISH in the right direction. Most important is that he did all these without self-glorifying. He was such a simple, unassuming person. His legacy as a teacher of teachers will continue to guide us and inspire all of us. To this remarkable legend, AISH expresses its deepest gratitude. We owe a lot to him. Our thoughts and prayers are with his family. As mentioned by Dr. Vanaja, is a biological and professional family. We extend deepest condolences. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. May I request Director AYJ and IHHS to say a few words, please.
Namaskar, respected teachers, colleague, friends, and family member of Rathna sir. I was rather shocked to hear the news of his untimely demise when I saw the message on 19 June 2024. I saw his last message in one of the group at 12:55 p.m. About treatment of paralysis. I was not fortunate to be his student, but I was fortunate to meet him, sir, during the ISA conference and other events. And in the last conference at Calcutta, we could get his guidance uh, during the ISA meeting. I was fortunate to get his blessing when I took over as a director. He called me personally and wished me. Uh, Sir was the first regular director, I would say, of our institute who served from 1984 to 1987. He was visionary leader and loved by all his students and colleagues. He was self-made, Sarvgun Sampan, and down-to-earth person, as everybody has mentioned. Uh, if we take his legacy forward, that will be the true tribute to him. Uh, my prayers are with the family of Rathna sir. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Dr. Suman.
Dr. Prakash,
Yes, sir.
I had conveyed the sad news of Dr. Rathna's demise to Dr. Giri Hegde at US. Dr. Giri Hegde was one of the persons, with whom Dr. Rathna and his family had very, very close personal and professional relation. Dr. Giri Hegde has not sent me a message. He replied to my email, and if you permit, I'll just read out. It's 4 or 5 lines.
Please, sir. Please.
Yeah. Thanks for informing us, MJ. Very sad indeed. We have lost a pioneer, a great leader, a close friend, an unpretentious person, a talented actor, a creative playwright, and a caring mentor. Prema and I have had such fond memories of him and Lata when we lived and worked in Mysore. A cordial colleague, he supported me at Aish when I was a junior lecturer. We have been reminiscing on this message ever since we saw your email. I can't forget his smiling face. Thank you, Prakash.
Thank you, sir. Please convey our thanks to Dr. Hegde also. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Family of Dr. Rathna has been listening to all of us and also viewing the chat, which several of us have shared in the chat box. Thank you for being with us today. May I request, and there has also been replies, Mr. Mallikarjun and Ms. Kanchan have been posting, but can we have you speak a few words if you would? Mr. Mallikarjun or Ms. Kanchan?
Thank you. Thank you so much. If I may, this is Mallikarjuna. Thank you, everybody. I guess it's a bit difficult for all of us to speak, especially the family members. But I think my, what I had to say, I really posted in the message, because by the time I came into the life of this family and Dr. Ratna's family, I mean, he had already retired, so I never saw him as a teacher. But I think this is not a professional opinion, right? Because I'm not related to the profession, but I'm just speaking as a person, as a human being, as a son-in-law of Dr. Ratna. I think once you are a teacher, you don't stop being a teacher. It's not even a profession for life. It's something more than a profession, and I think that's what he was for all of us, both to his students, his colleagues, his admirers, his family members, to all of us, really. And I think the best way I noticed of him, of being a teacher, is that he never used to teach again, in quote unquote sense, and say you do this or you don't do that. But if anybody were to be observant, if anybody saw how he talked, how he behaved, how he thought, that itself becomes a teaching, right? And in that sense, I think a lot of us have learned from him. Now, as many people have said in this meeting, to what extent can we emulate somebody like him? I don't know. It's up to each one of us. But that doesn't diminish anything from the lamp. How much light we take from the lamp is up to all of us, but the light itself shines. And I want to thank all of you who shared your memories, history, incidents, all of that with this family. And we are honored as a family to have been a part of this large family. And we hope to continue to be a part of this big, large family. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And please convey our condolences to the entire family, Mr. Rajita and Ms. Kavita also. Ms. Kanchan?
I only want to say this, that it has like Malli, Kavita's husband said, that when we joined the family, Appa had already retired, so we haven't seen the professional side of him. But what we have seen is that the Isha or the entire speech fraternity being a big family, and it's a blur. What is family? Who are friends? Who are the colleagues? It all seems like a huge family. In fact, when we took Appa now to Mysore, it seemed like the entire town had come to pay their respects. And I would like to believe that each one of us is now joined like a family, and so that's the legacy that he has left now. And I have sincere gratitude for that, and sincere gratitude to all of you. Thank you so much for this meeting, and thank you so much for attending this. And I if we can emulate him even to a quarter of what he was, I think we will do fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. And
Prakash,
yes, yes, sir.
if you may permit, can I just respond to Mrs. Kanchan? Right. I just wanted to tell Kanchan that Dr. Rathna had a lot of respect for the services. Actually, in fact, because knowing that I am from Army school, Sainik school when I joined, he was asked me, why didn't you join the NDA? Well, I told him that because of family compulsions, I said I couldn't go into the services. I came into this field. Very happy when my younger brother joined the services. He kept a tab on his career. He asked me when he got promoted as a major or a lieutenant colonel or a colonel. I used to keep asking. In fact, he has even met him also. So, I just want to tell you, because you are the wife of a service officer, naval officer. I just want to tell you that he had a lot of respect for the service.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's been a great journey listening to the journey of this legend, Dr. N. Rathna. And the messages are just pouring. And I think we will continue to have emails and messages, and we will try to compile all of these and send it to Dr. Ratna's family and his friends too. Thank you very much for being with us today. To formally conclude, I will have the Secretary of Isha propose the vote of thanks. Thank you. I want to thank all the senior members, Professor Oza, Professor Natraj, Professor Jairam, Professor Rajshekhar, Director of Aish, Representative, and Director of AYJ for being with us, and the family for joining, and all the members who have joined us this morning. Dr. Namita.
Yes, sir. So before proposing the vote of thanks, I just need your permission to read out two messages we've received immediately when the mail was sent to the members regarding the demise of Dr. Rathna, sir. So one is from Dr. Angasai, sir. He says, Professor Dr. N. Rathna held a pivotal role in speech and hearing in India from 1965 to 2024. As a teacher, mentor, researcher, policymaker, administrator, friend, philosopher, guide, and philanthropist, effectively touching the life of everyone, directly or indirectly, Rathna sir will continue to live in all of us. His famous quote he wishes to say is and recalls is, have fun and learn something. Let's cherish his values and memory. From Dr. Angasai, former AYJ director and student of Dr. Rathna. There is one more message from former faculty of T.N. Nair Hospital, Mumbai, Mrs. Shaila Vora. She says, and she has sent the message, an era is lost when a legend is lost. Your practical approach and your smile will always be cherished by generations of students from all the teaching institutes of speech and hearing in India. From Shaila Vora, Mumbai. So now moving on to the vote of thanks. I know that the messages are pouring in. We are receiving a lot of messages through emails and also the chat boxes of today's meeting. We promise you from EC and President that we will compile all the messages and we will make sure that it reaches to the family as a compiled document. So today I got this duty of voting, thanks, vote of thanks. But after listening to all the members and experiences, whatever little experience I had with sir in the conferences in Kolkata and Delhi, I would always remember his pat on my back, whether it is just a simple message that, okay, it was good webinar, or, I feel we have received just the drop of that ocean of knowledge and the generosity and kindness he had. But yeah, I thank God first and foremost that we were born in the era when Dr. Rathna was here, and he took the field in, with his legacy, and we promise him and the Almighty God that we will make sure that his legacy is taken ahead. I also thank all the family members who've joined us today and honored us in this prayer meet. It was really overwhelming to read the messages from the family members and also hear from themselves his, their personal experience with Sir. And we also thank from EC all the senior members and our teachers who spoke about Rathna sir so fondly and so kindly that, somewhere I felt during listening to all those, like Professor Oza, Natraj sir, Jairam sir, Rajsekar sir, Manjula ma'am, and Suman sir, I felt that, he was here for us for some moments. And it was really nice to learn so many things we didn't know about sir. And we got to know a little more personally about him. So I thank all of you for sharing such wonderful experiences with us. And those experiences are going to make us learn much more and make us good human beings, further in our future professional and personal lives. I also thank all the senior members who are present today in this meet, in this prayer meet, and they have honored us with their presence to pay respect their tribute to Sir Rathna sir. And I also thank President sir and EC for giving me opportunity to arrange this meet. And we thank everybody who is present here today for this prayer meet. I thank you all. Dr. Prakash.
Thank you, Namita. So thank you one and all for being with us and sharing this moment with the family of Dr. Ratna as well. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Prakash,
Thank you very much.
and all others.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
And close the meeting, Namita.
Okay. Okay, sir. So we will close once everybody
Yeah.
leaves. We have to copy the recording.
Yes. Okay.
Okay, sir. Shweta?
Yes, ma'am. Shall I close?
Yes, sir, Shweta, we can save the recording and close the meeting. Yeah.